Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber ask a question which I'm going to flip in here. Now his question is a little complicated because he's like, look Jason, I've been training for almost 3 years really hard. Is it okay if I cut down every now and then? Actually, I'm scared of if I continue to bulk and train that 10 years from now I'm going to be really fat. Is it okay to cut every now and then? Should I drop down to 10 or 12%? You know, that's a lot of questions here. So let's just kind of cover this topic a little bit. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and let's talk about this. All right, guys, when it comes to the subject of bulking, cutting, body fat, all that stuff, you need to remember different people have different goals. Different people not only have different goals, but find different things attractive. They have different reasons for wanting to be at different body compositions. Lots of people don't care if they carry some extra body fat. All right, most women don't care if you carry a little extra body fat. All right, that has never once in the history of the world stopped a man from getting laid, to my knowledge, that a guy had 10 extra pounds of body fat. You know, doesn't happen. So I understand though, people have different goals. So when a lot of people bulk, what you need to understand, and a lot of you guys who are drug free, who are very concerned with your body composition, what you need to understand is that a lot of guys who bulk don't care if they're a little fluffier. Okay, they don't care because they want the exercise and strength. All right, and there's a lot of guys like that. You'd be surprised how many are out there. I'm sure a lot of people who care about this stuff, they don't seem to realize how common that is in the lifting world. They just don't care. They're not worried about it. So of course those guys are going to tend to bulk more often. If you care about body composition though, and that's really a big important thing to you, and you know, for some people it isn't. There are people who dedicate their life to training who really don't care about their body fat percentage. They really don't. But if you care about it, you're drug free and you're out of the novice phase, you probably don't need to bulk. Now, I covered a lot of this in the Cali muscle video the other day when I said that, yeah, Cali's right. Most naturals don't need to worry about bulking and cutting that much. So when you're talking about needing to cut, well, if you don't bulk, you don't need to cut. And you need to think about this for a minute. How much muscle is the average person going to gain drug-free in the course of their training life? 20 pounds is good, 25 is fantastic. That's going to be about the most you're going to gain, and a few people who are very genetically gifted might put on 30 pounds of muscle. For most of you, stop and think about where you started and at the body fat you were at, and think about 25 pounds of muscle added to the body weight you're going to be at. That's not an enormous increase in body weight. So if you're standing around gaining 5 pounds every year, of course you're going to get fat, because you're not gaining 5 pounds of muscle past that second year. If you gain 5 pounds of muscle, you're either in like your second year of training or something like that. People with 3 or 4 years of training under their belt don't ever gain 5 pounds of muscle in a year. You gain some water and fat, it's not muscle. So that being said, if you know you reach a point after like 3 years where gaining a pound or 2 of muscle is going to be the absolute threshold, why would you bulk? Do you really need to see a change in scale weight? You probably don't. You probably don't need to see a change in scale weight. You could stay at pretty much the same weight and not worry about it anymore, because your gains are going to be so insignificant that it's not going to matter. Like if you're sitting there and you're at a body fat you're reasonably comfortable with, you're athletic, you're happy, and you're 178 pounds. Let's say you're 5'10", 178, and you've been training for 2-3 years now. Well, you know you're not gaining more than a pound of muscle, maybe 2, maybe on a really good year, maybe. So do you need to go over 178 pounds? No, just train. Run a good program, a nice, proper intermediate or early advanced program. Train and just stay at around 178. Do it for a whole year. If you gain a pound of muscle, you'll have lost a pound of fat. Your body composition will have improved. You don't have to worry now about bulking or cutting. And you know, you need to remember when we talk about a little bit of bulking, okay, there are times when even as a drug-free lifter like that who's been training a few years, where you might want to do a mini bulk. But when I mean a mini bulk, I mean you gain 2 or 3 pounds. And I wouldn't do it randomly. Let's say, you know, you've been training 3 years, right? You're 178 or you're 179 or 185, whatever you're at. You run a whole phase of like a 12-week block periodization, something like my intermediate off-season athlete program. You get to the end of that 12 weeks and none of your lifts went up. when you get to the next phase. Then you run another 12-week block of it and you still have stagnated. So you've gone pretty much 24 weeks with none of your lifts went up more than 2-3 pounds. You didn't get any 10-pound increases on any of your big lifts for your work sets, training maxes, anything. Okay, you've stagnated. Now you might want to consider a bulk. But when I say a bulk, bump your calories up a little bit, eat a little more food, gain 3 or 4 pounds over the course of the next training cycle of 12 weeks. All right? And if you're at a body fat you're comfortable with and you're okay with when you do that because you're at a level of leanness you're happy with, then you don't need to bulk. You can just do that for one 12-week cycle. And again, think about that. 3 or 4 pounds over 12 weeks is a very, very small increase. But if you've stalled twice and you know you're running a proper block periodization program, then yeah, that third one you could do a little bulk because that extra food will push you past that, and then you'll probably grow a little bit. You'll gain probably your year's worth of muscle in that little window. Will you gain a little fat? Probably. But if you keep your diet really clean, keep your dietary fat fairly low, plenty of starchy carbs, fiber, good diet, keep your cardio up, you probably will gain very, very little fat during that phase. Then you can go back to maintaining again. And when you go back to maintaining again, if you keep all your diet decent, and do plenty of cardio and everything, you'll probably lean out a little bit over the next year again. But it's all going to be very small. It's not going to be very significant noticeable changes in fat. And if you're doing it that way, you don't need to worry about the whole bulking and cutting thing. And it really is true, guys. If you're drug free, yeah, I can understand bulking your first year. All right, I totally get that. But by that third year, you're not going to gain much muscle till you go on gear. So if you're going to stay natural, why would you ever need to bulk? You don't. Other than occasional gain a little bit of weight. A little bit of weight to push yourself up to the next level because you stalled through a couple of sets of block periodization or something like that you should have gained strength in. But again, what you're going to find, that extra food and that time is going to let you make your burst of gains, and the little bit of fat you gain, you will be able to work off just by continuing to do what you do. You might only lose a pound, but you'll probably, because you put your performance up through that phase, you've gained muscle, gained some leverage advantages, you've gotten better. That extra performance that you glean from that block will probably carry over into the next block a little bit. So you'll probably recomposition just slightly through the next block, which will, again, bring your body composition back down. So little subtle things like that. But worrying about bulking and cutting when you're drug-free, you probably don't need to do that. And honestly, I don't even recommend that if you're training hard and you're athletic, you probably don't even want to dramatically restrict your calories ever to even cut. What I would say for most guys, again, drug-free guys who, again, if you reach that point of diminished returns in your training, add a little extra cardio in, eat a few more vegetables to fill you up a little more, add extra cardio in to help you lean out slowly a little bit. But you probably don't want to go try to do a dramatic weight cut. It's going to hurt your performance. You're going to lose muscle. But as far as what body fat should you be at, that's totally dependent upon you. Everyone has different goals. Everyone has different levels of acceptability. You have to remember, one person's lean is another person's obese. And that's the thing. This whole fitness world is so subjective with this stuff that there are people who the average person would look at and think, wow, they look pretty lean. They look pretty athletic. Who all you guys would call, some of you guys, not all you guys, some of the people online would call it obese fat fuck. Different standards for different people. And then some of the people who those same people will call lean or shredded, someone else would think is disgusting and hideous to look at. You've got to remember, different people have different standards. And you have to decide for yourself what your own standards are and what you want. It's not for me to decide. If you think that you need to be 10 to 12% body fat, then okay, fine. Cut down to 10 to 12% body fat and follow the other advice I just gave so that you stay close to that. If you're happier at 18 or 20, then stay at 18 to 20. Follow the same advice I gave you. There's no problem there. There's still no reason for you to bulk or cut once you're kind of at the body composition you want to be at. Just work on your performance, improving and getting better and stronger so that you gain a little muscle, and just keep your body weight roughly the same. Again, bulking and cutting to any serious degree only really applies to like first 6-month lifters, people who are on anabolics, and people who compete in something physique related. Outside of that, there's probably no reason for you to bulk and cut. There really probably isn't a reason for it. Just my 2 cents. And a lot of that's kind of what I had said in the Cali Muscle video. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative. And I will talk to you guys next time.